In her previous role as director at iNautics Technologies, Eva was instrumental in overseeing IT services for multiple lines of business and spearheading remote infrastructure management for Bank of New York Mellon. Eva's expertise shines in organization building, where her focus on talent management and employee engagement has been the key to her success. With advanced skills in program and project management, account and vendor management, budgeting, and relationship management, she has consistently delivered results. Her communication prowess, coupled with exceptional presentation, interpersonal problem solving, and mentoring skills, complements her analytical decision and leadership capabilities, contributing to organizational excellence. Hello viewers, welcome to this episode of Women in Mobility. Our guest for today is Ms. Eva James, Vice President, Global Delivery Services and Global Hub at Renault Nissan Technology Business Center, India. Eva, welcome to the show.
Thank you, it's a pleasure.
Great. So can you take me through your school days? What were your aspirations on career?
Absolutely, I love to relive those days. I think this is way back when I was in my 9th standard. That is when NIIT, I think it was one of those new software teaching companies.
Okay.
That was set up in Chennai, and they had come to my school to set up a camp to introduce computers and programming languages to school children. And at that time it was basic programming. And the first time I was introduced to drawing a flow chart and then converting the algorithm into a small program, a basic program. That was how I was introduced, and that's where the passion got ignited. And I went back home and I told my dad. I think they did a 2-day workshop, and they said that they would do a longer summer camp between the school holidays. I told my dad I have to go for that program. And at that time, computers was not something that my parents were very familiar with. And they were not sure whether I was using my time wisely, whether it was worth the investment that they had to make during my summer holidays. But I was very persistent, and I went for I think it was a 3-week summer camp. Children from other schools also had come together, and for a group of about 60 people, 60 students, there are about 3 IBM XT machines. We would fight for 10 minutes to key in our programs and see the hello screen.
Okay.
Or hello Eva James was the output of my program. That was fun. That is where it all started. And we were lucky because just after we finished this, the Tamil Nadu Matriculation Board introduced computer science in the 11th, 12th curriculum for the first time. And we were the first batch.
Looks like it's for you.
Yeah, it was custom made for me. And the school introduced it in their curriculum, and we hired a computer science teacher in our class, in our school. And the 11th and 12th was a beautiful 2 years. I did math, physics, chemistry and computer science. And then I said I wanted to study computer science further. So the options were either I should do an engineering program or what do I do otherwise was the question. And somehow at that point of time my family could not support an engineering degree. And talking to some friends and some people in the church, we understood that Women's Christian College was introducing for the first time a BSc Computer Science program, a 3-year degree program.
Wow.
I actually begged my parents to take me there to study, understand it more. And we went there, and they said this is a new program that we are introducing this year, and they did not have much confidence when they spoke to us about the program.
Okay.
So my father said there are many established courses,
Okay.
BSc Computer Science, BSc Physics and Math, whereas they are new, the course is new, are you sure? I said no, I want to do this. And I enrolled myself, and the 3 years has been beautiful 3 years. Introduced me to the world of computers. Me and a few of my friends would take permission from the principal to come to the lab on Saturdays, because again the number of computers was very limited even in the college labs, even in the microchip labs. So we would take some permission, go on Saturdays to get some additional time to play around and write programs. So that is where it all started. And I did my internship in my college for the first time in a small company called M.N. Dastur. And I think it all started there, my
Great.
association with computers.
So you are firm in taking decisions,
Oh, yes.
and then you wanted to accomplish the set objectives. So were there role models for you to instigate this kind of a thought?
Role models, I would say, from two perspectives. One, I come from a family where my mother is a working woman. We were 3 daughters, and my mother worked all through her career, all the way up to 58 years of age. She worked with State Bank of India. She had 3 children, so there were maternity breaks. My dad was a very hands-on father, so she had a very supportive spouse. And she did it all, she had it all. And never once as a child I felt that my mother was not there for me because she was working. And seeing that, growing up in that kind of an environment, she was my first role model for me to believe that I can do it, I can have it all, I can have a career, I can have a family, I can have children, and I can still have life, right? So she was my first model. She's still my role model in the way she lives her life today. There are many other inspiring people. I mean, in my close circles, people like Steve Jobs has inspired me. But then, a role model is someone who I can connect with more personally, right? So if I look at it that way, I only think of a person. Unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. His name is Govind Singhal. He was one of my leaders at my first job. I worked under him for about 10 to 12 years. Amazing human being first. And a great visionary and a great leader, a leader who believed that even way back in the 90s that a vision has to be propagated, a vision has to be well understood by team. While we are talking of diversity and all of that today, he was one of those inclusive leaders. He demonstrated it day in, day out. With a strong customer first mindset. And few years working with him, I told myself that one day I have to be a leader like him.
Okay.
That was the definition of a leader for me, nothing else. You have so many textbooks describing leadership qualities, but for me, I said I have to be a leader like Govind Singh. That was my benchmark, and I'm really hoping that I'm making him proud. He's not here, but I'm sure he's watching me from somewhere. He's been a personal mentor as well.
Okay.
He was a leader who led with his heart, very, very empathetic in his ways of dealing with people. And I would look at him today, in the future, forever he's my role model.
Great. So how was your initial days of career, professional career? You said that you have the mentor.
Yes. So today we have a lot of campus recruitment programs. People get their jobs even before they pass out of their courses, right? Whereas when I finished my course, it took about 3 months for me to find a job. And I joined Polaris Software Labs. That was my first job. And while in the industry today, people are jumping every 2 years, 3 years. I think one of the wisest decisions that I have done or that I have taken is staying put in my first job for 14 years. And I think the investment that I made there has helped me learn, grow, and accomplish whatever little I've accomplished today. So I worked with them for 14 years. I started as a developer because that was what my passion was. Those technologies don't even exist today. If I talk about that, people think that I'm speaking Greek and Latin. But then the foundational elements are all the same. Thinking about design, thinking about usability, thinking about architecture. So irrespective of the language, of course, I started with structured programming. Today, we are in the world of OOPS and a very different ways of writing code. But I started as a developer. I worked for a few years as a developer, and I got opportunities to lead small teams. And one thing which I still very cherish, and I tell all my team members, is growing need not be vertical all the time. You can also grow horizontally. So I didn't get a promotion, but I moved different verticals. I moved different domains, and thereby the depth and the breadth that I got of various technologies and various domains helped me really grow very well. And as I said, I had some great mentors, not just him, the other leaders at that point of time helped me understand my strengths, focused on them while I had my own set of weaknesses, which I should also admit, helped me to put all of this as one package,
Yeah.
and still how do you grow?
That's very rare, no?
Right.
It's an opportunity.
Yes,
Yeah.
to look at both and how do you balance and how do you work together. And as I moved across domains and as I moved across technologies, while I had the passion to learn, I was also encouraged to learn. In fact, there was a time when I said, I was in the banking credit card business for a long time, and the company had a big project coming from the insurance domain. And they wanted me to take up a module leader role at that point of time. And I said, insurance is, I don't know that. And there was confidence in my leaders that with my ability to learn and grasp things that I would be able to do. So they invested in me. And I went for a LOMA certification, which is one of the certifications for the insurance domain. I cracked it in a 3-month window, and then the rest of the story is a beautiful growth story for me. So at every opportunity of my horizontal move, there was time to learn, time to reskill and upskill myself. And as I said, the 14 years has been the biggest foundation of my career, which even today when I look back has helped me grow immensely.
Yeah, but were there also challenges?
Oh yes, there were a lot of challenges. There were challenges that was coming from multiple accounts because very early, within a few years of getting into my career, I got married. And then within 2 years, I had my daughter. So as I was growing very fast, there was also time that I had to take a break. And due to various situations at home, my maternity break was for almost a year.
Okay.
And so there was a challenge when I came back. I felt like a 1 year
restart again.
1 year was a big gap, and I had to restart. A lot of things that I was doing had moved very fast and very forward. And in 1 year, it seems like the technology landscape had completely changed. My business stakeholders had changed.
Okay.
So, but those were the moments I thought about my mother. She had to go through this thrice, and I had to go through it just once. I have one daughter. And so I stayed put. I said, this is okay. This 1 year in a big scheme of things is not a deterrent. Okay. Yes, I will have a setback for a few months, but then I brought my best self forward. And if I look back now, that 1 year has not made any impact on my long career run. But at that point of time, there was, in my mind at least, while my ecosystem probably did not see it, but I had an apprehension that I had lost out. And there was a moment I thought that, am I doing right things at home? So juggling between. They say that you have to balance home and work. I don't think there is ever a balance. They say integration. I don't think you can integrate. For me, I think it's prioritization. There are days when you have to prioritize, come what may, I have to be at home. There have been weeks together I've traveled and I've not been at home. I would get a call that something is wrong at home, but then I've committed to that priority. Okay. So I personally believe that balance, integration are all good buzzwords, but I think as women especially, you need to prioritize on every day what is important for you.
See, now you work in a pure play IT and software company, but you must have worked in a male-dominated organizations. Any specific challenges that you had, or any high points that you had? You can share.
So, when I think back, right, one of the largest teams that I first handled was for a Japanese account, a very big account. In my journey, it was a team of about 300 engineers. And very interesting. As you know, the Japanese clients are very demanding, are very data oriented, even way back.
Process oriented.
Process oriented, data oriented. You can't just say everything is going well. So in this team of 300, I had about 7 direct managers, and all of them were men, and all of them were older than me.
Okay.
So when I was given that opportunity, in my very first few days, I was actually intimidated. I have to admit, it was not walking into a room full of men looking much older than me. They were not just looking, they were older than me, which means they had more experience than me. Now, age is just a number. I'm talking of work experience. They had more experience than me in the industry, and I was leading them. So it was intimidating. Sometimes I would want to say something and I would hold back, and I would go home and tell my husband, it's very hard. I don't know. But then he also gave me the confidence that the reason why you are there is you had certain skills and competencies, and they've given you this position, and don't duck back.
Yeah.
Don't. And then I had to tell myself, I think for me personally, I have to convince myself more than anyone else convincing me. I said, I am here for a purpose. And yes, it was a challenge, but I need to use my position and my responsibilities with the sense, well, right? And with that rewiring in me, that the whole executive presence, right? In fact, it's funny, but I started wearing more sarees to just have that strong executive presence. I'm not saying other costumes don't have it. For me, that worked.
Okay.
To have an executive presence, right? You can be dressed in the way you want, but this is my personal experience. And they say that, I've heard people say, right? I mean, she's so loud, right? And she's bossy. I've heard these comments. But then, being a visionary, being assertive, having a strong result orientation, these are all global traits that a good leader should have.
Absolutely.
But then when leaders possess these traits, they are treated differentially if they are a man and if they are a woman. Right? And we have faced it. I have faced it personally. So that is when, in fact, there was this campaign, I'm sure you're familiar with this, by Sheryl Sandberg. She ran a campaign called the Ban Bossy campaign, where she said women who are affirmative and bold and strong are being termed as bossy. And this is actually stigmatizing those qualities, and women are not very comfortable taking up those leadership roles. And how do you remove these kind of things? So all of these elements I've personally felt. But I think it's very important that when you face those things, you don't buckle under pressure. You don't buckle under pressure. When you know you're doing the right things,
march forward.
March forward, and over a period of time, people will understand that you can't fool around. She's doing it right, and you have to align.
Great.
Right?
So, what was the reaction?
I think I won't say everyone had a problem. There were few people who had a problem, but I think it's a matter of time. When you run an inclusive organization, you take everyone into confidence. Just because I'm a leader doesn't make me anything superior than the rest of the team, because I always believe in collective wisdom. I still believe, irrespective of which position you are in the organization, you are a team, and you can only succeed as a team, right? So I think when I finished my term with that organization, with that particular account of mine, we grew from 300 to 600, 650, and it was one happy big team.
Wow.
And the 6-member team became a 10-member management team. When I passed out of that team, when I moved out, there were at least 3 women managers on my team. So that is something which I'm personally very happy about, that I was able to infuse the leadership with more women.
Great.
So those were some of the challenges. I think they exist even today.
Fantastic.
They exist even today. It is important for women, as you said, to march forward. While we will do everything to help the environment, to help the male colleagues accept a diverse workforce, women also have to learn to stay put.
Great. So, what do you think of women empowerment?
Whole diversity and inclusion and respect have all become big buzzwords. I think it's very nice that every corporate is taking it on it to ensure that there is diversity at the workplace. It is not just about gender, right? When you talk of diversity, we are talking of people from different races, differently abled people, different generations. Today we are talking of Gen Z, Gen Y, and of course gender being the biggest one. But for me, I think more important than diversity is the inclusion element. And inclusion, people think celebrating Women's Day and celebrating those one-off days is inclusion. But for me, inclusion is experience. You have to experience inclusion every day. every moment. And if you don't experience it, there is no point in having diversity at workplace.
Can you throw a little more light?
So you want all kinds of people. You want people from different ethnicity, differently able people, a good percentage of women. But if they are just existing without feeling included, where their voices are heard, where their opinions matter, where they are respected rightfully, I think the whole diversity falls flat on its face. And this experience is an everyday experience. And that is what creates a sense of belonging. So with this, actually today at R&TB, at Renault Nissan Technology Center, we do a lot of gender sensitization programs as one key element, right? Where women, especially in our culture, while it is all changing, but culturally, women are told to not be loud, to hold back. So whereas when you are in a meeting room, how do you encourage everyone to speak up? And when they speak up, how do you listen and act on it, right? When 10 men speak and only 2 women speak, are they given the right platform? Are they having the right tools? Do they have the confidence that they are being listened to? And when they are being acted on, does the loop back come to them, right? So these kind of gender sensitization programs help the inclusion element more than anything else. Of course, we also do a lot of programs on skills development for women. Whether we like it or not, women join our organization in big numbers. So if you look at the bottom of the pyramid, it's almost like, if not 50-50, it's 40-60. Right? But as they progress, the gap keeps expanding, and at the top it's probably 10% women and 90% men. Right? So somewhere these women drop off. They have fancy words like glass ceiling and all of that stuff. But we have to go to the grassroots level and help women. Right? I had a role model in my mother. Many women who come from engineers background don't have a family background like that, where they are able to emulate their mothers or their sisters, right? So when they come here, they go through motherhood or whatever the reasons may be, they drop out. How do you help them? So skills development to help them build their strong careers. Giving them the right mentors, right? That's another thing that we consciously do. So we have a lot of women's mentoring program, higher education program, skills development program. More than that, for every particular position that is coming up, especially in the leadership levels, there is a very strong scrutiny about, are all the potential candidates evaluated and not just settling at the first candidate, right? Thereby making sure no right women candidate is losing that opportunity at the time of promotions, at the time of new hires. So all of these small elements goes a long way to ensure that women at workforce are well taken care of. So in fact, Renault Group as an organization is working very hard towards bridging the pay gap. There is a very interesting philosophy, or not a philosophy, a research which was done which says the fatherhood bonus and the motherhood penalty. Right? There is a research and it proved that a couple, after they get married and if they're both in the corporate world, their compensation gap tends to grow wider after they have the first child. The fathers tend to make more money and the women tend to make lesser money. The child he's the father and she's the mother, right? But these kind of things which seem very, I don't want to use the word stupid, but this is how the industry has worked over a period of time, right? So these kind of interventions that we have to address the industry pay gaps are all small steps that we can do towards empowering women to have the right place in the workplace.
But tell me, what exactly prevents the organization, not here, in general?
There are, first let's look at it from an individual perspective, right? We look at the data points. This is all data driven. We are not making up stories, right? When we look at why women are leaving the workforce, right? They leave the workforce primarily when they have children. Right? The second they leave the workforce is they are not confident about some of the leadership roles that are being assigned to them.
Why is that so?
Right. That's because of the cultural upbringing, the majority of the men, the leadership roles being played by men in the workforce, and they do not have enough role models within the organization which they can latch on to. Right. These are from the women perspective. So what are the organizations doing about it? For example, if you take our company, they said that we fully understand motherhood is a very important milestone in your life, and there are no two thoughts about it. You need to take the time off. This is the need of the society. We need people, right? So few things that we have done. In fact, I have led that women at RNTBCI forum. We said, how can we support women before they have the child and after they have the child with the extended breaks? And in fact, very recently we said, can we provide childcare facilities? Because today not everyone has a support system at home where they can leave the children and come. So we have enrolled our company with childcare centers across the city, where we know these are safe environments where the children can be left during their working hours. I mean, this is not just us. I'm sure there are many organizations which are offering this. Post-pandemic, with the hybrid work environment arrangements, it has been established that I can be as productive as I can be working from home. So for mothers who have toddlers, for some reason who cannot be left in a childcare, we are giving them extended flexible work arrangements. Right, so that motherhood by itself is not becoming a deterrent for women to come back to mainstream. So today, as I said, many of our middle managers are women. So it is reaping results, but it is a journey. It has to continue for a long, long time.
That's interesting and very heartening to know. Very good. You are a technocrat. Let me ask a little bit from that perspective. So a lot of things are being talked about, ML, AI, all these things. How do you see these emerging technologies help women to grow faster in their career?
I was preparing for a conclave, a GCC conclave, and I was looking at some research. It says that the auto industry alone will invest about $75 billion on AI, ML and data sciences, which is about 20x more than what the industry is spending today. If this is the spend that is there on the table, look at the amount of technology workforce that we will need to support this growth. So we do a lot of things, and some of the things that I strongly believe is to work on these emerging technologies, you need to have a strong understanding of the domain. So which means people who are already engaged in these businesses will gain a lot more if they pick up these new skills and apply themselves into these new domains. And some of the things that we do is training people on these areas. We have created an individual career path for people to grow in the technical career, because typically growth is associated with leading teams and becoming a people manager. Whereas we are impressing upon people that you can gain technical expertise and technical know-how and grow very high in your career journey to become a designer, to become an architect. And we are seeing a lot of women coming forward. In fact, we have created a forum called Women in Tech, where we are connecting with them and we are talking to them about these opportunities. Women, I believe, are inherently very creative, are very innovative. So some of these new age things like usability, design and experience come very easily to them. But you just need to connect the dots, bring them together and train them in these areas so that they are able to apply and grow.
So there are, correct me if I'm wrong, there are some threats in the form of low code and no code. Do you see this hampering prospects for women?
I think it doesn't hamper prospects for anyone. First, no code and low code have come into the industry, have come into the system to help the non-technical people to quickly do some small stuff, right? Otherwise, the businesses were always very dependent on the technology organizations. So this is for them to do a quick dashboard and stuff like that. So I believe that what you need to stay put and to progress is continuously learning and picking up new skills, because people think that with generative AI, with RPA, with robotic process automation, some of the jobs will cease to exist. Yes, some jobs will cease to exist, but new jobs are always coming. If 10 are going away, 20 new jobs are coming. So you might lose your current job, but then you have to be a person who is learning every day. Learning is to be a lifelong process. If you're an expert in a certain version of Java and you've done great job on it, I can tell you that 6 years later, and if you've not picked any skill, you're going to become redundant, right?
Great.
So code, no code, low code, there are going to be things that are going to be coming,
Correct.
but then there is so much on the table for you to grab. So keep learning as your mantra. Have a personal learning catalog. What is the new skill that I want to learn today? I think that is what will keep women and men in the industry in the future.
Lastly, what's your piece of advice for young women aspirants, especially coming to the automotive?
Okay, the automotive industry is probably the most, I've been here 8 years, and before this I worked in the financial industry most of my career, and after coming here I'm really in love with this industry. It's a very happening industry. The kind of things that are going to change the phase of mobility, right? It's not about going from point A to point B. The whole concept of mobility is changing with autonomous driving, electric vehicles, shared mobility. So the connected cars, all of this needs very, very high-end technology landscape, right? And it's no more a mechanical thing. It's called a software on wheels,
Yes, absolutely.
right? And in fact, with the connected cars, they say it's a data center on wheels. So it's a place where strong technical people can thrive and grow.
Okay.
So it is, yes, of course, we need mechanical engineers and all them to design powertrains, but I think software technologists have a big role to play in this industry. Come, grow along with the industry.
Great. Mobility is evolving every day.
Absolutely,
Thank you
absolutely.
being part of Women in Mobility.
Thank
Thanks,
you
Eva.
so much.
Thanks so
Thank
much.
you so much. It was a pleasure.